Greetings from Virginia Beach. Your videos are wonderful. I was going to regrease the machine myself until I got to the pin in the planetary. I couldn't get it out and didn't want to buy tools or use too much force. I've decided to let the experts do it. I purchased this mixer used for $60 in 1989 from a school teacher in Italy. A friend and I drove 100 miles from the base in Taormina, Sicily with no cell phone or GPS to get it. Ah, the good old days. The mixer and I began cranking out American-style birthday cakes, re-enlistment cakes, and retirement cakes for the military community in Sigonella, Italy. I was making 50 to 60 cakes a week. It was the best $60 I ever spent. I've had this mixer longer than my youngest daughter, who will eventually inherit it one day. Again, thanks for those wonderful videos and online content. I think I've watched almost all your videos. Best regards, Carrie. Alright, let's hop to it. As always, we start with a listen. And it sounds pretty rough. Let's tear this puppy down and see what makes it tick. We got that back cap off, now we're removing the beauty band. With the two screws out, it comes right off. We're gonna get on the edge of this drip ring with a flathead screwdriver, give it a little tap with a mallet, which will push it down out of place, and then you can just go ahead and remove it. Now this is the pin that the customer couldn't remove. Let's have a go at it. Let's get lined up here. We're just gonna give that a real hard shot. It is starting to move, but it is in there. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta give it a little love. Now you can tell this pin has a little bit of an S shape to it, as well as microscopic baking debris and corrosion on there. And all of that combined really just held it into place, and that's why it was a little bit harder to get out. Did you ever have a cake go missing? Because if so, I think I found the ingredients. I see several indications of why it was running bad. So one reason is that this shaft right here, it's called the agitator shaft, it's pretty gunked up. It's actually kind of hard to turn. This should be free spinning. And two, if you take a look at this screw, it has backed itself out. It should be screwed in like that. It backed out far enough to actually rub on this planetary. You can see where there's rubbing here. There's even a shard of metal right there that's scraped off. So that screw has essentially just been milling this planetary down as it spins. Now we are going to go through this machine and give it the works. But take a listen. It sounds so much better already. Also, I'm not really sure what this stuff is. It's incredibly hard, and you can see there's a big chunk of it right here. And I mean, it doesn't even hardly want to come off of there. It's really seized on there. And this was also rubbing on that planetary. Now, before we go any further, this customer did request our upgrade bundle, which consists of the love handles. We have them in black and in chrome, as well as the amazing Everdyne and our quick install spring and washer. This is the spring that I'm talking about right here. It holds the paddles down in place. They no longer come on the mixers. But that's okay because we manufacture these for you and they are incredibly easy to install. Let's get back to fixing. Let's go ahead and remove all these screws. We got all those screws out. Let's go ahead. Let's take this thing, split it in half. Take a look at that. We got a mountain of grease over here and we got another pile over here. We gotta go ahead and get all of this old grease out of here. And there is a lot of it. This is my favorite part of the whole job. Oh, so satisfying. Let's start to put this thing back together. We got to get it all nice and greased up. Now that we've applied the forbidden frosting, we can put this thing back together. Now that we got the upper housing back on, it's time to screw around a little bit. We want to make sure that we get these screws incredibly tight. Because if you remember, they were rubbing on that planetary. We don't want that to happen again. So we've started to put the planetary back on. I get this question a lot. What happens if you put the planetary on, but the pinholes just don't quite line up? Now, as you can see here, this center shaft is receded just a little bit. And naturally, there's some play in this shaft. Take a look. It can move up and down. Now, the goal is to get that planetary on just far enough that you can start to see the pinhole. Now, I use a little tiny screwdriver, but you could even use like a household nail, just something nice and pointy, and just start prying that baby down into place. You can see that it's moving, and we are through. And with those holes now aligned, we can go ahead and install our new pin. So this thing, it's now sounding significantly better, but it's still got a little bit of a hiccup to it. All the electronic and mechanical components here in the rear end are like 30, 40 years old. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to replace those. So we went through and replaced all of the electronics. Take a look at that. Nice and shiny. We got it stitched back together. Take a look at that. Not only does it look amazing, it sounds amazing too. Now we turned the machine upside down. Look at the sad state of these feet. They look like little pancakes. Take a look at that. We got some new feet in place. Let's go ahead and put our love handle on the machine. We're just going to slide this into place and align these holes. Then we'll go ahead and secure it with the thumb screw. And we'll go ahead and use this. We're going to lift the head of the machine. And then we're going to remove this screw right here in the neck. Now we're going to take that screw and we're going to just slide it through the Everdyne like so. And what that's going to do, it's going to prevent the head of your machine from bouncing up and down. And this is part of our calibration process. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna tighten this down just far enough that when you put on a paddle and drop a dime into the bottom of the bowl, that the paddle passes over that dime and gives it a light flick on each rotation, which guarantees that your paddle is just a dime's height off the bottom of that bowl. It keeps your attachments from rubbing and chipping like so. And it eliminates that head bounce. And just like that, we have breathed some new life into this machine. All of these upgrades are fantastic for improving the function and extending the longevity of your machine. So if you're interested, you can pick some up in the link below.